Hi, today is September 30th, 2023, and here are my poems for the day. The first one is poem number 1571 for the year, Loving Life. The weather was a motherfucker yesterday. A 25-minute trip took 2 hours because of the motherfucking rain. Fortunately, I am loving life too much lately to be too pissed off about much of anything, or maybe that's unfortunate. If I wasn't loving life so much, maybe I would write a really fun and entertaining, angry poem about how pissed off I am about the motherfucking weather yesterday and how it fucked up my shit. But the truth is, it didn't fuck up my shit. Not really. My shit is fine. If I wasn't loving life, maybe my shit wouldn't be fine, and maybe the weather would have fucked my shit up, and then I could write that fun poem about my shit having been fucked up. Instead, this poem will have to do, and if you don't like it, you know what you can do. Poem number 1572, The Garbage People. I like to call the people who come and collect the garbage very early in the morning the garbage people. It's not that I think of these people as garbage. It's that I sometimes like to pretend that I have contempt for people that I don't actually have. I might think to myself, here come the garbage people. What garbage they are. Fuck those people. Especially fuck the garbage people who were chatting while doing their job of collecting garbage and woke me up before my alarm went off. But in fact, I usually don't give a shit if I am woken up before my alarm goes off. Not usually, and I was glad to get a bit of a head start on my day today. I kind of need it. I could call the garbage people garbage men, or men of garbage, but even though I've never seen a woman collect garbage, I don't think it's right to use the term garbage men. That's not how I was raised. They could be called garbage collectors instead of garbage people, but that's not nearly as much fun. Poem number 1573, How I Was Raised. I was raised in a coven by a pack of feminist wolves. All of them were alpha females, and I was the only male. I fucking wish that was how I was raised, on some matrilineal feminist commune. That sounds fucking awesome. But maybe it sounds awesome because I wasn't raised that way. If I had been raised that way, I might have wished for something normal. I might have wished I grew up in an apartment, or God fucking forbid, a house in the fucking suburbs. But I've gotten sidetracked. Let me get back to my fantasy. Poem number 1574, The Feminist Pack. By the time I was 9, I was expected to say member of Congress instead of congressman, and firefighter instead of fireman, and police officer instead of policeman, although I was also expected to stay away from the police. They have guns. And flight attendant instead of stewardess, and so on. And when I slipped up, it was as if the gender-specific word had barely passed through my lips before one of the wolves, never my mother, always one of the other wolves, would literally be at my throat. I could feel the touch of teeth digging into my neck, and the teeth would stay there until I corrected myself and used the proper gender-neutral term. It might sound a little harsh, but it was actually a good way to learn. And to tell you the truth, it was really hot. Poem number 1575, You Have to Learn to Let It Go. Of course, I know that a fantasy where I am the only male in a group of people or pack of wolves is still a male-centric fantasy, and I know that the idea of female domination is still basically a recapitulation of the patriarchal paradigm. I never said I wasn't sexist. I just like to think I'm not as sexist or as racist or as elitist or whatever as I could be or as I used to be. You grow up with privilege, you become attached to privilege. You have to learn to let it go. But first you have to learn that you fucking have it. Poem number 1576, Lucky. I was lucky that my high school library had so many women's studies books, because in the mid-70s that was not a given. There was The Second Sex, and The Feminine Mystique, and Against Our Will, and Sexual Politics, and The Female Eunuch, and Sisterhood is Powerful, and maybe even The Dialectic of Sex, although maybe I found that one later on my own. I know I found The Scum Manifesto on my own. There was even a book written by a man, Ashley Montagu's The Natural Superiority of Women. It In fact, that was one of the first feminist books I read. In a very real sense, that book gave me permission to aspire to be a male feminist. I was also lucky that the miniseries Roots came out when I was 16. I read the book shortly after that, and then the autobiography of Malcolm X and Soul on Ice. And I was lucky that Richard Pryor was making records. I had 3 or 4 of them and listened to them over and over. I had good teachers in high school and good teachers outside of high school. I was lucky I wasn't cured of racism or sexism, etc. But I believe that these books and TV shows and records did help somewhat. They were a beginning, at least. And the last poem of the day, poem number 1577, Eye-Opening Month. I was going to mention another mini-series called Holocaust that came out about 15 months after Roots, but I remembered that some had spoken out against it at the time. Just now I read an article published on April 16th, 1978 by Elie Wiesel, which was the day the first episode aired. His view seemed to be that any depiction would not be what happened. If I read that article at the time, it didn't stop me from watching the show, and that show floored me. I'm really glad I saw it. This is a strange poem with which to end the month, but I'm just realizing something else strange. I saw Holocaust 9 days after the first time I saw Jonathan Richman play. So April of 1978 was certainly an eye-opening month. I suppose this month has been eye-opening, too. I learned again how much I love to perform with King Missile Dogfly Religion. I learned to deepen my capacity for forgiveness and atonement. I am lucky that I can continue to set aside what I think I know about myself, so I can see how blind I am, so I can have my eyes opened more. Okay, September, it's been real. Coming up next, October. Thank you. We were a little long today, but I appreciate you. I do. I do. Thank you.